Hobos. I don't know how to make a video look for it. I'm just gonna repeat the same crap over and over anyway. I was just gonna talk a bit about 1984. It's Orwell's book. He has some hypotheses. Very clever. And people always say, like, is this a hypothesis if, like, Hitler won the war? If this is a hypothesis if something won the war, someone else won the war? I actually think 1984 is a hypothesis if there was no war, what the future would look like. Almost justifying it, maybe. Royalty might have been, I know Orwell was kind of royalty or something. But I think this would have happened if there was no war. That's where it actually gets to. See, irregardless of who won, or you can't really win war. No one wins war. But irregardless of World War II, it became global understanding what was going on. So things changed. So like I said in the videos, if you don't have Avalon, if you don't have one true Lord under a system of lords, it's a very complicated thing to do. If you don't have one true Lord, you have this division and dichotomy of people fighting over this one Lord. Elijah got screwed in this way. A lot of people have been screwed in this way. So you don't have one true Lord. You have a lot of gypsies fighting over it. They'll establish stability eventually. There'll be 7 heads of a monster, basically. And they might be fighting between one another, or even united, but they are coveting typically the wife of this one true Lord. Wife, they'll marry. You haven't got a choice about it. Like, I think Jesus came by a woman in a well. I just talked with her, and this might be the person that they married to Jesus using gypsy tricks, gypsy stuff. It's very blatant in the Gospels that Jesus had no interest in women. It's the first thing he says. I've said as well. Like, he's got no interest in women. He was tempted with John's fortune. It was John the Baptist's fortune. John the Baptist was ripped off in this story. He was ripped off and he was falling into perdition and trying to turn the tables and baptize and prove. These baptisms were miracles. They're not recorded as miracles online, well, at least online. But he was performing miracles, John the Baptist was. And they want to take the onus away from John the Baptist, really, in Christianity, because Jesus is a new thing altogether. And it's a new thing altogether, so it's good to keep everyone kind of get on board with that. The whole history ought to be respected. But anyway, so he was ripped off. But like I said, Jesus was tempted with John's fortune. He's like, I'll make you the king and ruler of all this world and fortune, which was John's fortune. And Jesus wasn't tempted by this, but he was tempted by it, but he reclined, he refrained, and went straight to work saving John. And because John's mother and stuff, and technically maybe not Jesus' family, but these families were being coveted and exploited, and it's hard times to explain. I'm looking forward to making a Jesus movie about it. But then you have the situation. So this is the situation in 1984 when gypsies rule. Basically, this is a situation where gypsies rule. It didn't happen basically because there's a World War One. I think World War I and II are based on this same kind of thing. Gypsies harvesting everybody, and socialism and communism probably got a lot of harvesting going on because of the essence of communism, really, to make the most of it. And maybe they were even okay with being harvested, good old communist spirit and chipping in together. But so this is what you see in 1984. So what I wanted to explain to you was it's all for one and one for all. Like I said, it's one Lord. So you're gonna have these people, these merchants, and they're competing. They've stolen it. They've coveted it. They've succeeded. They'll reach a stability and commerce and between one another. But they're doing the work of one person. This is the job that one person has to fulfill. So it's not a lot of work. Now they're going to divide this work between them. Royally divide. They're going to divide this work between them, and they're going to establish constant temples, constant churches to maintain it and covet it, basically. And they will be very powerful, and they'll use it to. They'll employ many other people and witnesses, people that develop from it to subdue itself. So this is what you see in 1984. You see a lot of, weird military and guys, and they're punks. They're not punks, but they're, it's like, why do they live in privilege? And you see everybody else, basically. So it's one job for a few people, rich people, who are loving it and coveting it. And it's amazing, and it's I don't know what it is, to be honest. I never exploited myself, but whatever they're doing, they're loving it and coveting it very great, and they're killing. Like, they'll kill to prevent it, to subdue this. They're killing all the time to prevent it, and they almost could like control the day like clockwork. So it becomes kind of Terminator, even like, how am I going to get saved? That it might be like some weird thing from the future that has to ultimately appear to save me. Yes, so they have the job, and it's wonderful, and everybody else then is in this temple because they spread it far. It spreads and spreads and spreads as a burning bush, like sort of Leisha. Basically, it'll spread either as a good temple or a burning bush. A good temple under one lord, or it'll be a divided temple and it'll be a burning bush. So there's lots and lots of people then who are in this burning bush, and they live like Winston, as you see in 1984. They live like slaves. They live like drones. You see Winston up every morning, and he's bowing like 15 times towards the sun, like he's Islamic, or like he's from the Muslim community, really hardcore, but he doesn't understand it, and it's all very functionalistic, and he has no idea what he's doing, and he has to bow and pray 15 times in the morning, like some super devoted Muslim, or anyone, kind of thing. But they don't even know why they're doing it, and they're being exploited and utilised for greater battery power for these few gypsies at the top. I'm not I haven't studied 1984. I don't really know, Orwell's, or not Orwell's book, just Goldstein's book, and just this book, and this is prohibited, and all this kind of stuff. I could talk a lot more if I knew what I was talking about, but I actually just wanted to say this is the idea on basing 1984. It would lead to a lot of war in the future, but a less kind of stable, grinding, controlled war. Not very legitimate, honest war, very kill all these people. Yeah, we'll kill all these people, I'll send them out to fight each other. And if everybody dies, it's the best war. Victory of war is if everybody successfully and efficiently kills each other. So that's why the peace symbol is taking the power back. Everybody gets with the one lord, because otherwise you have these dichotomized lords, the big three. The two-headed eagle, the head isn't there. You'd have, so that's why the peace symbol is like more of a take the power back symbol, by trusting in one lord. So they found out they're very powerful with Christianity, and if everybody was very Christian, they'd take the power off their world leaders. That's why they don't tell you much about Christianity. That's why they don't really. You go to church and you hear your gospels and stuff. But if you knew, why, so that's why a big problem as well. And this is why there's always been a problem. This is a problem of humility, like you see in King David, or anybody. Just some weird curly-haired shepherd boys, very clever. He came from like a little rural town. And these are all very well-connected, rich people. And they just bully you, you know what I mean? They don't want to take you in or have new money, or have to lower themselves to befriending you, because it's very obvious that they only want to befriend you because you make royalty around your friends and family members. So it's very obvious that they're trying to hang out with. So they didn't want to lower themselves to that, And they typically obviously just rob you, and even it's predicted. Sadly enough, it is predicted, because this is a wonderful age with communication and understanding and Gideons and Gospels, but it actually is predicted that in this time he would be one of those cheated ones. I've said this before. He'd be lying alone. This is how Nostradamus can make so easily make predictions, because it just happens all the time. It's very predictable. There's sequences of events that'll happen and have happened and will happen again a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Cheated off, ripped off, river comes back together, there's a re-meeting, there's a return of the king, there's just lots of that kind of stuff all the time. Star Wars is pretty cool like that. I thought it was sort of super Jewish, but I heard it was kind of more Christian or Catholic with Jewish knowledge, but I thought it was very Jewish, with making Judaism cool for everybody. But so that's broken temples, 1984, burning bush, and this is how they're controlling a lot of places. And even I said this before, you've seen the spectre, so you're burning down towns and you're just giving them the care plan. So they're actually just spreading this Babylonian broken temple, and then they're appearing in your political schemes and all over your countries and saying, well, we know what to do, we know what to do, and we're going to assume control here, and you don't know about this kind of technology or technologies, and we know how to do it, and they're not your friends. And then like they're taking a lot of control and power in your governments and your people by spreading a burning Babylonian bush. And Babylon, yeah, burning Babylon bush. So that's just it on that. Probably more things to say about it as usual. So everybody in the world, like, you know, millions will have to succumb to this burning time, and this is the time that Jesus was born in. Elijah was cheated before Jesus, and Jesus grew up in this. So we grew up in a time of a burning bush all over the earth. It wasn't as bad as Hebrews, like in Egypt, but because they kept their kickle and stuff, and they were doing stuff, they kept protected. But not everybody was protected from it, and they almost thought it was Lummus disease, like, you know, very misunderstood. And then they thought they had lepers, and they didn't really have lepers, and they just loads of this kind of misunderstanding in the Bible. But yeah, there's a lot to say about that. Everybody will have a really crappy time, and there'll be a few cats at the top, which has probably been away for a long time. I suppose they're having a great time, but that's why they're having a great time. They're how to cover it. So yeah, take the power back and subscribe. Oh, my battery's gone.